Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. My wife, Eileen, 33 female, and I, 30 male, have been happily married for several years. Eileen is a no-nonsense, wise person that I can trust with my life. I wouldn't have thought to marry her if my parents hadn't disowned me. My parents have generational wealth, but my father believed in working hard for your money. I wasn't a good student and I got bad grades, skipped class, and got into trouble a few times. My parents sent me abroad for college because I would probably not pass the college entrance exam. All I cared about then was hanging with my friends and having fun. I scraped through college, but my father was furious that I did not graduate on time. He disowned me, and I was cut off from family money. I had known Eileen in college. She was very smart and dedicated. She wanted to become a doctor. She also had an obvious crush on me. I knew that I would run out of money and my life would be rough if I didn't have someone to keep me in check. So I asked Eileen, and in a couple of years, we were married. I didn't see her often because of her long hours as an intern and then a resident, and then a full doctor. But I tried to be the best husband I could. My parents recently contacted me again. My father had a heart attack and it scared him into reaching out. We had a family dinner. My parents commented on Eileen as my choice of partner. She's a doctor in a prestigious specialty, which made her more attractive as a daughter-in-law. They commented that she was nothing like the trashy girls I used to date, that they had to scare off, and asked what made me change my type. I said that them disowning me was the reason I married Eileen. That was the wrong thing to say. Everyone got quiet at dinner and were clearly uncomfortable. I asked Eileen if she knew why, and she said it might be because my disownment was a touchy subject. She also seems a little off, so I'm not sure what I did. Am I the a-hole? Wow, I can't believe OP admitted that he married his wife because he needs someone to support him. What a leech. It sounds like, since rich parents cut me off, I had to find someone else who was going to make lots of money and fund my lifestyle. I wonder if OP's wife caught a lawyer already, because I definitely would if I was OP's wife. And now let's see if the community agrees with me. JJJ68548 says, if you want to not make your wife feel like you were only with her for money, you should add, the disowning forced you to turn your life around and look for an intelligent, motivated woman, which pushed you to try equally as hard in life. She made you a better person, and you love her for taking a chance on you, since she knows she's too good for you, assuming you actually turned your life around. Mr. Pink Gold says, holy crap, dude, you are not the smartest crayon in the box, are you? You and your parents. Everyone sucks here. Poor wife. I do hope you are the awesome husband you say you are. You have a lot to apologize for to your wife, whom you seem to love. Imperious Mage says, everyone sucks here, except Eileen. You are a dud, dude. Or at least you were. You admit to marrying someone because you needed someone to take care of you. That said, you turned it around and are a good husband now, supposedly. Your parents suck for cutting you off and then suddenly remembering they have children when death comes knocking. You shouldn't have said what you said, but it was the truth. If Eileen doesn't know that already, she should. My daughter Leah's mother and I were never married, but we did officially separate when she was 5. I got with my wife Naya when Leah was 9 and married her when Leah was 12. Leah never got on with Naya, didn't want to spend time with her, and was just generally unpleasant to her. We are currently in family therapy, and honestly, I think Leah just says the meanest things possible to avoid actually discussing her feelings with us. She's absolutely amazing to hang around with one-on-one, but is unpleasant around Naya. We were all supposed to spend Christmas together, as per our custody agreement. Leah is 16 now, and we have been more lenient, but we have always adhered to our agreement for holidays and birthdays. On Christmas Eve, Leah left to see her boyfriend's family and drop off her gifts. At around 6, I call her and ask when she's heading home. She says she's staying. I know her mom lives near her boyfriend and asked if that's where she was going. She didn't answer. I told her to come home, and she pretty much agreed, but then never did. I call her boyfriend's parents, and they confirm she left to her mother's, and I called her mother, who said Leah was there. Naya was heartbroken because she felt like Leah didn't want to be there because of her. This year, Naya handled all the gifts. She did the work of going in store and picking them up, picking them out. I decided my daughter wasn't allowed to crap on Naya's efforts, to at least be civil with her. So when Leah got home and I asked why she wasn't at Christmas, she said she wanted to spend it with her real mom. I said that's fine. When she asked about her gifts, I said her fake mom got it for her, so she didn't need them. Needless to say, she's pissed at me and hasn't said anything. Naya appreciates me putting my foot down, but feels like Leah is a lost cause, and to just give her the gifts. Leah's mom agrees she needs to stop treating Naya badly and expecting no consequences. Am I the a-hole? Note: she has the gifts her mom and boyfriend and other family got her, just not the ones Naya's helped with. I got her a car for Christmas, gifted to her in November because she needed the car. Leah is an only child on both sides. I have no other children and don't plan to. I'm fine with having a relationship with Leah outside of Naya. My issue is she treats Naya badly, like subhuman. She acts outrightly nasty to her. I wouldn't push so hard if she would at least be civil. I don't think OP is in the wrong here. OP's daughter needs to learn about consequences. She doesn't have to love OP's wife or even like her, but she does need to be polite and show some respect. She also needs to stop lying if it's no big deal. I think OP's daughter needs to grow up and deal with the fact that her parents are divorced. She sounds like a spoiled brat to me, and good for OP for showing her that actions have consequences. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Contact No says, I was prepared to say you're the a-hole, but after reading through, not the a-hole. It is understandable that your daughter, even at 16, may feel your wife is an interloper. At 16, she can also decide with whom she wishes to spend her time. But at 16, it also means that if she can make those decisions, she can bear the brunt of her decisions. No, she doesn't get to be rude to your wife and also expect the presents. Add to this that you bought her a car. This then goes into spoiled brat territory. Twin Zylander 214 says, you're the a-hole. You have an angry teenager in front of you, and let's say that your actions seem totally counterproductive to me. Let's face it, teenagers can be real nightmares some days, but from my experience, treating them as children doesn't solve the issue. If she wants to spend Christmas with her mom, then she can absolutely do that, but she has to let you know beforehand and act like an almost adult. You getting angry is giving her power and putting stepmom in a difficult situation. As your ex seems to agree, solution might be to sit down all together, both parents and the daughter, not the stepmom, and decide on the new rules. I would also advise providing her with her own therapist so she has someone to vent to, and maybe she will learn to share her thoughts and emotions in a more acceptable way. My wife and I, both 35, have been together since high school. As a result, we're both very close to each other's families. My wife has a sister who is 24. I consider her to be my little sister too. I've known her since she was in first grade. My wife's sister Mary is expecting a baby, and she is suffering from an illness. Can't remember the name off the top of my head, but just a ton of vomiting and nausea and dizziness and exhaustion. From what my wife has told me, the condition feels terrible, but otherwise is manageable and won't affect the baby. Mary was recently hospitalized for a few days due to dehydration, electrolyte imbalance because of this condition. My wife and I decided to wait until she got home to visit her. We went over a few days ago. Scene: Mary and her husband's house. It was me, my wife, sister-in-law, her husband, my father-in-law, mother-in-law, and my wife's brother. We're sitting around and talking. After the initial concern and talks about her health, the conversation became more lighthearted. We're watching the game and eating when my father-in-law mentions to Mary, "In a few months, this will be all past you and you'll have a baby in your arms. Have you narrowed down the names?" Mary says, "We're trying to, but he's already rejected my top 3 boy names." Something about that really rubbed me the wrong way. I was raised to respect women and appreciate the sacrifice they make to carry a baby. When my wife was pregnant, not only did her say go with baby names, but I made sure that those 9 months were the most relaxing and calm time possible. I picked up every extra shift so she could let go of her crappy job and stay home to rest when her blood pressure got a little high. I did as much as I could around the house, too. And obviously, the person who is carrying the baby and whose body goes through that pain got to pick the names. I wasn't gonna complain about that. She got princess treatment for all 3 pregnancies, and I still believe I didn't do enough. So him watching his wife throw up multiple times a day, suffer from nausea all day, literally be hospitalized from the pains of pregnancy, and yet he can't give her the happiness of naming her baby what she wants? It set me off, and I pulled him aside a few minutes later in the kitchen and let him have it. Basically, saying what I said above and outlining how I didn't respect him for his actions, in the least. Long story short, my wife believes that I shouldn't have said anything and should have just vented about it in the car. My father-in-law and mother-in-law agree with me. Was I the a-hole? Sounds like OP is an amazing and very supportive husband, but what works in his family and for him doesn't mean it works for others. I think that naming a child is both parents' decision. I agree with being extra helpful during a pregnancy, but I don't agree that the father should have no say in naming their child. I think OP massively overstepped in this situation. What do you think, guys? Now let's hear the community's opinion. Excellent Count says, "You're the a-hole. Your take is BS. Parents are equal and get equal vote. But either way, you are an a-hole for intruding into their relationship. You are just kicking yourself out of their life with your virtue signaling." And Zaitia is my life says, "You're the a-hole, as is your mother-in-law and father-in-law. All 3 of you need to mind your business and realize that the baby's name is agreed on by both parents, not just the one. Yes, pregnancy takes a toll on our bodies, but that doesn't mean dad doesn't get a say. It's a 2 yes, 1 no say for couples expecting." Just Here to Read says, "Not the a-hole here. She is going through extra with carrying his child, and he can't give her the names. I agree dad should help pick the name, not a problem. I chose my son's middle name, and his dad chose his first. We were both comfortable, and so my son has his name. Why can't he compromise? I'm glad you made life as easy as possible for your wife. So sweet. Wish more men had that mentality." I, 49 female, spent 21 years in a very financially and emotionally restrictive marriage with my ex, 50 male, with whom I have a 16-year-old and a 10-year-old daughter. The last matter of my divorce was finally settled a year ago when I received $190K after our marital home was sold. All in all, I received $190K from the house, and then 60% of the assets we had remaining in exchange for no alimony, which came out to about $45K. Even though my ex-husband and I were never close to rich, and I never expected to become rich from a divorce. As a stay-at-home mom for over 15 years, married to the type of husband I was married to, this $235K is the most money I've ever had at my disposal. For somebody like me, who never really had any agency with where I would live or what vacations I think we should take, I felt that I deserved to be able to use what's legally mine to treat myself. So I've taken my daughters and I to Cabo, and we went to Europe for the first time this summer. We no longer had a home, so I signed a lease at a nice apartment near the downtown Arts District with a pool, so my older daughter, who does synchronized swimming, could feel at home. However, just when I thought I avoided the terrible teens with my older daughter, ever since the divorce, she's become a hand-wringing ball of anxiety. I don't know if her dad is poisoning her mind, but she seems to be under the impression that she'll go to sleep in her bed and then wake up in a homeless shelter because we're penniless. I've tried to assure her by telling her that I've been attending an online program for office management and interior design, and that I intend to graduate from that, work as an operations manager while I start up my business. She would respond by saying, "You don't need a degree to do office admin work," which I really don't think was supportive, but I let it go. She was also upset I offered her a car for her birthday and turned it down. So I decided to buy her an Apple package for Christmas, so she could have a new office trifecta. New MacBook, an iPad, Apple Watch, and Apple Pencil. She was very excited about the watch and pencil, but she got upset with me over my own Christmas purchases. I treated myself to a designer purse and designer heels, and she kept saying that I needed to return them before I scratched the red bottoms, saying I'd regret not being able to return them. So yesterday when I was going to the mall to return a few gifts that had gift receipts from friends and family for all of us, I got to the mall and realized my daughter snuck in my designer heels into the car with the receipt. I was very angry, and when I got home I confronted her on it and said I'd be holding her gifts and may return them if she doesn't show sufficient remorse, which she was not. Now she's at her dad's house being angry, and my ex called and said he and my daughter agree that I've said I don't like wearing heels multiple times. I told him that this is deliberate mishearing on his part. Am I the a-hole? Well, I don't think it is very clever to be buying expensive designer shoes and handbags when you don't own a place to live. It's the same as driving an expensive car, but can barely afford to fill its tank up with fuel. OP's daughter is sensible and tries to put sense in her mother. It's very easy to spend money, and OP can be left with $10 in her pocket with such an attitude. So she definitely should not be angry with her daughter, as OP is the one who is in the wrong here. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Deleted user says, "She's not wrong. It sounds like you don't even have a job, but you're spending like you have one. $235K might be enough to coast on if you were single with no children, but not while having children that live with you and having no income. That money will be gone quicker than you know it. It's a pretty big red flag when your teenage daughter is more concerned about finances than you are, and when your teenage daughter is less materialistic than you." Gone Baby Thought says, "Your daughter's concerns about your indiscriminate spending appear to be well-founded. It's scary to think that your 16-year-old child has more financial sense than you do." Fabulous Database says, "You're the a-hole, and I seriously question the financially restricted aspect that you tried to frame as aggressive. I'm more inclined to believe it was living within your means and being responsible. I feel bad for your daughters and ex-husband."